Hello, I'm Beverly Thompson. Welcome to CityLife, dedicated to keeping you informed on Durham's important news and events. This month, 3 iconic Durham buildings will be opening their doors to show off their new facelift, from freshly painted walls to expanded and upgraded spaces, all done with your comfort and enjoyment in mind. Joining me now to talk about what was done and what it will mean to you are Joel Reitzer and Jennifer Noble. Joel is the director of the city's General Services Department, and Jennifer is the general manager for Global Spectrum, the company hired to manage the newly renovated Durham Convention Center. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Joel, let's get started with you. I know your department recently completed the renovation of 3 historic buildings this year: the Durham Convention Center, the Carolina Theater, and the Durham Arts Council. Let's get started first with the Durham Convention Center. What's the background on this center, and why did it even need to be renovated in the first place?
Well, Beverly, thank you so much for inviting us here today to talk about the 3 downtown cultural centers in downtown Durham. To understand these 3 buildings, the Convention Center, the Carolina Theater, and the Arts Building, we only have to go back to 2003 when the city conducted a facilities assessment on the downtown buildings as well as the other owned buildings, and they determined the condition of all of the buildings, what the needs were, what the operational facets were, etc. And this really helped the city to prepare for the November 8th, 2005 event when the citizens of Durham voted to approve a $110 million bond referendum. And in that bond referendum, there were many, many facilities included, but these 3 buildings were definitely included as very, very important edifices that were being used by the citizens of Durham and very much in need of upgrading and refurbishment.
Okay, so let's talk about the Convention Center specifically then. What kind of renovations were made to that building?
Well, going back to the Convention Center, we need to understand the origins of it a little bit, and that it was built in 1987 along with the Convention Hotel. It's about a 3-acre site that is bounded by Foster Street, Chapel Hill Street, and Morgan Street. And the Convention Hotel itself is, it's really about a 1.5 million cubic foot air lease over the 3-acre site, which includes 190 rooms of hotel in 9 stories in the hotel. So underlaying that is the Durham Convention Center.
Okay.
And that particular area was also built at the same time. And its operational needs were ongoing. And there were 3 challenges really that the city had at the time. Old systems needed to be replaced, such as the roofing and air conditioning, etc. We needed to add functionality. In addition to that, we needed new decor within the building. So the operational facets of it were only one part of it, and then the old condition of facilities was the other.
So what can people who visit the Convention Center expect to see now in terms of upgrades and, aesthetically speaking?
Well, the aesthetics of the building were really fine, but they were really somewhat outdated. Okay. And so we went into the facility and looked at all of the operating systems. We went through the air conditioning, we went through the ballrooms, and we went through the pre-function corridor. And we took a look at the operations, and so we put new operable partitions in the ballroom, which helped the divisibility of the rooms itself. And then going along with that, we went through the decor itself and gave a complete updated decor. In addition to that, sound and video systems were included, and then we added our own Wi-Fi. Wow,
that really sounds pretty extensive. It really does.
It was very
That's a good
extensive. Really, the project was done in 2 phases. It was $9.7 million overall, $6.9 million done recently. So the first phase was really started in about 2007, completed in about early 2010, and the second phase was just completed in 2011.
Did you add any other new features, such as a kitchen?
Well, we did add a catering kitchen. Really, it's not just a catering kitchen. It really is an operational kitchen for Global Spectrum, so that we can have ongoing meals being prepared for the hotel and for room service, and at the same time we can have facilities ongoing, both large and small meetings going on in the convention center.
Okay. Well, Jen, I guess that helps a lot with what you do, being the new manager for Global Spectrum, which now manages the center. So tell our viewers a little bit about Global Spectrum and why you even came to Durham.
Well, I came from Western New York.
Okay.
I was working at the Conference Center Niagara Falls, which is another one of our global properties. And I came in February as the general manager here. And Global Spectrum is actually part of the Comcast Spectacor family, which is owned and operated out of Philadelphia. Global Spectrum is actually one of the largest venue management companies in the United States. We manage over 100 facilities worldwide.
Wow.
And that includes theaters, arenas, and convention centers.
Okay, well, we're definitely glad to have you here in Durham.
Thank you.
Jennifer, I understand the hotel is there and the convention center is separate from the hotel. How do you work together, though?
We actually work with all of our hospitality partners in the area.
Okay.
We work most closely with the Marriott because we are considered all under one roof in that aspect in terms of what a meeting planner is looking for. We have daily communications with our partners at the Marriott Hotel, as well as our other hospitality partners like the Durham Convention and Visitors Bureau and our other hotel partners in the area.
Okay. Well, Jill, let me ask you then, from an economic point of view, how will these massive renovations that were done affect convention organizers who want to come to Durham? I mean, what will they see so great about the convention center now that will make Durham attractive to them?
Well, you know, in addition to having a hotel that's right, you know, adjacent to us and having that relationship with a major flag or brand such as Marriott and the upgrades that have occurred, meeting planners are really looking for a total package and a city as a destination. And when they look at a city, they're looking for amenities, not only what the hotel can provide and the convention center can provide, but entertainment in the city, restaurants within walking distance. So it's really a whole package for the city. And I think with the upgrades that have gone on right in the heart that we're located in, it's just going to attract more and more business and spur on more economic growth for the city.
That's great to hear. So Durham's the total package now,
Absolutely.
Right? All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So Joel, I know in addition to the convention center that you recently helped renovate 2 other facilities as well, and that's the Carolina Theater and the Durham Arts Council. Let's start with the Carolina Theater. Give us a little bit of background on that building and why it needed renovation.
Well, as you know, the Carolina Theater is directly adjacent to the Convention Center on Morgan Street. And really the front entrance is right onto the Civic Center Plaza, which is really part of the Convention Center property. So they're really linked together and in many ways operate in the same space and for similar functions from time to time. And the Carolina Theater was originally built as a historical building, and I guess it was built after City Hall really moved into what was the Durham High School next door, and then the Durham High School moved down to the Duke property, and then the city decided to build an auditorium next door. It really is a historical building.
It's a beautiful
and it's really, the operators have changed hands over the years until we reached a point where the foundation was formed, the nonprofit was formed, and really the operations of the theater really took off. So there are many, many needs that the theater has because of the diversity of operations of it.
Okay.
And so the aging systems in a building that old certainly will need to be replaced and upgraded, and really there's a lot of events that go on, a lot of traffic that comes through, and many of the finishes and decor do need constant care and attention. So the roofing had been replaced, and with the roofing being replaced, the interior cornices in Fletcher Hall were really maintained pretty well. They stayed together. We found that when we replaced the roof, one anecdote that might be of interest is that we replaced the roof and then the cornices began to dry out, and then they started crumbling into the building. So it really required us going in and restoring all the detailing inside of Fletcher Hall, and really it was quite a restoration. So I would really welcome all the citizens of Durham to go to the Carolina Theater, go to Fletcher Hall, and see what was done. It was really a magnificent restoration done, and really by local artisans and craftsmen.
Okay, sounds great. Can't wait to see it. So I know you also worked on the Durham Arts Council as well, and give us a little bit of background on that facility and why it needed renovation as well.
Well, the Arts Council building is also a historical building. It's about 105 years old, and it's really been a very useful building. Initially as the high school, it was operated as a high school for I think some 20-some years, and then as a city hall close to 50 years, and then as an arts council over 30 years.
Historic, definitely.
So it very historic. And it's really used by more families than any other building downtown. And anytime you go in there, you'll see people of all ages. And the variety of uses are really a testament to the sustainability that the city has put into the property in terms of keeping it up. Over the years, different renovations have occurred, and they really have needed because of the variety of uses. So if you want to dance or paint, make pottery, glass, or jewelry, learn photography, digital arts, ceramics, or even calligraphy, visit the Arts Council.
One-stop shop, huh?
And its programs. And so, in response to all of those programs and upkeep of the building, a lot went into the renovation, both in terms of functionality as well as the finishes in the building. Now this goes on today, and there will be exterior renovations as well. And if we look at pictures of the outside of the building today, you'll see a similar context and shape of the building, but really that'll all look a lot newer before the end of November. So the work goes on today. It's not completely finished, but we'll be very proud of it to look at it around the 1st of December.
Now, was there any work that will assist them operationally? I know we did a kitchen for the convention center. Did we do anything similar for that building?
Features such as lighting and sound, and the backbone of support of the building were replaced. A number of air handlers, like 8 air handlers were replaced in the building that were kind of on their last leg.
Certainly helps with comfort.
Countertops, cabinets, a number of areas, flooring, and so forth. But I mean, you go into the building any given day, and you can see a child playing music or in a practice room. You go down the hall, and the mother is doing painting. Or a sister might be doing ceramics. So a lot of different things going on in the building that need to be supported. And with such an old building, it's really provided a great use, and we just want to continue to maintain and continue the role that we're on with that particular property.
All right. So Jennifer, now that these renovations have been done, what's next? How are we going to open it up and show it off to people?
Well, we have a grand reopening reception on November 17th that will have our local stakeholders, city, county officials that will be invited, as well as some of our clients from the area. That is going to actually start off at around 4:30 with a joint ribbon cutting ceremony between ourselves, the Durham Convention Center, the Durham Arts Council, as well as the Carolina Theater, and then it will be followed by the reception. On the 19th, though, during the Art Walk, the ever-popular Art Walk, the 19th and 20th, I should say, we are going to be hosting public open houses at the facilities in conjunction with the Art Walk. So the general public would be more than welcome to come into any of the facilities, see the facilities and the restoration, and enjoy the Art Walk as well. We'll have artists at all 3 venues.
Look forward to that.
Thanks.
It's going to be a fun time. While I have you, though, if people want to know more about booking at the Convention Center, what should they do? They
can contact us via the website at www.durhamconventioncenter.com, or they can call us directly at 919-956-9404.
Okay, and Joel, I'm going to give you the last word. Any final closing thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers about why these renovations were so important and what they've done to these historic buildings in Durham?
Well, I would just give credit to the citizens of Durham and the Durham City Council for having invested the time and dollars to keep up these very important facilities downtown. These 3 facilities really sit on a very large block downtown, which is really the core of the central city. It's really its heart and soul. So come to downtown Durham, see what we have to offer, stop, park, come inside, walk to the restaurants, go to the theater, go to the Arts Council and the Convention Center.
Sounds like a commercial to me. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break now, but coming up in the next segment, we'll give you an inside peek at the newly renovated Carolina Theater and the Durham Arts Council and what you can expect to see happening at each of these places now that the renovations are complete. We'll be right back.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to City Life. This month, the newly renovated Carolina Theater and Durham Arts Council will be opening their doors to display all of the recent upgrades, giving visitors a whole new experience. Joining me to talk about these two historic facilities and what you can expect to see are Bob Nocek and Sherry DeVries. Bob is the president and CEO of the Carolina Theater, and Sherry is the executive director of the Durham Arts Council. Welcome, Bob and Sherry. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Bob, in the previous segment, we learned a little bit about the renovations at the Carolina Theater. In your opinion, how are these renovations going to impact the whole visitor experience to the wonderful historic building?
The most obvious, I think, will be that the building really feels new from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. We've painted every inch of the building. We've replaced all the carpeting with an authentic historic pattern. And so the building, to start with, is going to feel just refreshed when people come in. And it really was overdue. It had been a long time since the building had been painted and some of the old carpeting was worn, and so it's just going to present a new face when people come in. And I think their experience will be better as well, because we've done some sound upgrades for live events, for film. We're working on some projection upgrades as well, and it's really going to present a first-class experience, and it's something that we've waited for a while.
I can hear the excitement in your voice.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, we've just recently started showing films again, and even things as simple as replacing the lens on a projector and getting a brighter image on the screen. It's really going to send a message to people that, you know, that this is the place they want to be in love with, and this is where they want to come for live entertainment and films. Okay, great. Well, let me ask you this. I've heard some really neat other things were done in addition to the ones that you named, and it will really change how visitors perceive the theater. Give us the scoop on the new box seating. This actually was one of the most exciting components for us. There are 6 boxes up near the stage that are recreations of boxes that had been there originally in the historic theater, but at some point, we don't know when, had been taken off. And so when the theater was restored in the early 90s, these boxes were rebuilt, but the steps had never been taken to get them to meet fire code. And so we've been working on this for a few years and talking to the city and finding out what regulations we'd need to meet to get them open. And so by adding some railings, some emergency lighting, and making sure that you know, the exits met the needs of the fire marshal, we were able to get these box seats open, and you know, we've had people in them for shows already, and they're just having a great time. Really? It's a neat experience because you're so close to the stage, and you really get a chance to see the rest of the hall during a show that you don't normally if you're in a seat. So you kind of get an expanded experience, and you know, we've really carried it forward to be a true VIP experience. We have a dedicated service for food and beverage in the box seats, so you don't even have to leave to get a beer during a concert.
Wow. Cool.
And if you lease a box for the entire year, which is one of our options, we'll provide reserved parking, and we'll even give you the options to return tickets you can't use for a tax deduction.
Wow.
And so we've really come up with a great year-long package. And for people who can't do that, we have the option to buy them on an individual show-by-show basis if they're available.
So I don't want to get too technical, but I do know that you guys did some special work for some of the plaster renovation that you did. Tell us what happened with that.
It was really fascinating to watch. Some of the walls and a lot of the detail work had been damaged over the years because of moisture that had gotten in. And it was the most significant component of the project this year, and it meant installing 5 stories of scaffolding all the way around Fletcher Hall.
Wow.
And it was my first time experiencing anything like this, and to watch the craftsmen come in, and it was very fine detail work, and they would come in and they would spend hours layering on fine layers of plaster, and then they would let it dry, and they would come back the next day and they would put on another layer, and they would carve out the details, and it was really all very fine work that was done by hand, and it was amazing to watch. And you know, for us now in a building that we all love, to see it restored to what it looked like in 1926. Is really just very special for us. It was great to see. That's
wonderful to hear. And one final thing, the amplification system or the sound system. Yeah. Tell us about that.
You know, we had a few fairly serious sound needs. I mean, the first is that, you know, there were a lot of hard surfaces in Fletcher Hall, and so when you bring in concert sound and all of it is up near the stage, it's tough to get a balance where the people up front aren't being blasted and the people in the back can hear well. And then you get into situations where the balconies obstruct the flow of sound. And so we were able to add some additional speakers up near the stage, and even more importantly, additional fill speakers under all of the balconies. And so it really enhances the experience and creates a much fuller sound. And in the cinemas, we were able to completely replace the speaker systems, which just gives us greater clarity. And, you know, especially we do a lot of retrospectives with older prints. And so those come with their own challenges. And it helps a lot to be able to run those through a new system and at least enhance them a little bit. And so you know, on the live event side and on the film side, we've made some major improvements.
Wow. Sounds so exciting.
Yeah, it really
Can't wait for you to open your doors. Now, Sherry, let's talk about the Durham Arts Council. I understand some great renovations went on there as well. How are they going to impact the visitor experience?
Well, we have about 300,000 visitors a year, and I think the first thing they're going to really notice is that the arrival experience is much brighter and more beautiful and more accessible. The exterior has been painted and restored, and the terraces have been redone and rampways, so a much more beautiful and accessible arrival experience. Once you're in the building, much like what Bob said, a lot has been done throughout the building. New paint, new ceilings, better lighting. Over Phase 1 and Phase 2, we've replaced all the carpeting, and just lots of work throughout the building that it really needed. It hadn't had major renovations done since the first major renovation in 1988.
Now talk about a historic building. The Durham Arts Council is quite historic. Give us a little bit of history on it.
Right. It is about 105 years old, almost 106, and was the first Durham High School, and served as that from 1906 to 1927, I believe, and then City Hall moved into that building once the high school outgrew the space, and it was City Hall up until 1977. And what is now our theater upstairs is where the City Council chambers were all those years.
Wow.
And then in 1978, the Durham Arts Council moved into the building in its unrenovated state, and through a public-private partnership of the city and the county and many donors that support the Durham Arts Council, we underwent a major renovation to turn it into a professional, first-class arts center facility. And we've been there ever since. And, so this is the first major renovations in Phase 1 and Phase 2 that began in 2007. Major renovations that we've had since that first renovation.
Okay, all right. Well, tell us a little about the flower garden. I know that also received some pretty extensive renovation work as well.
Right. The terraces that surround our flower gardens have been completely redone, and that's going to make it much more beautiful and much safer, because the old terraces had sunk over time and had become uneven. So now there's really beautiful paver blocks installed. And Skanska was very careful to preserve and maintain our flower gardens, and that's important to us because they're supported through the generosity of Ruth Carver and her estate, and also through in-kind support from Meadow Sweet Gardens. So we have this beautiful gardens that actually received the Golden Leaf Award last year, and we're very proud of that.
It's pretty important in Durham.
Very important in Durham, and so beauty is one of the first things we want our visitors to encounter when they come to our building, because we're an Arts Council center. And
well, what about the Kane Learning Center? Tell me a little bit about that.
That's downstairs, and that's representative of one of the many classrooms that we have in the building. The Kane Learning Center is where some of our smallest children enjoy arts classes, and we also use it during summer camp. And so that has all new cabinetry and accessible sinks and flooring, and it'll have new furniture and finishes. And if you could imagine about 60,000 children a year coming through the building and utilizing classrooms, they've taken a real beating over the years. So these renovations will make everything look new and great.
I know I'm always surprised to hear about how many visitors you get every year. It's just incredible.
We're so fortunate to have an arts center like this. It's really the only one of its kind in the Triangle, and it's really not just an arts council and an arts center, but a public gathering place. So people come to have community events and corporate events and family celebrations. They come to see our exhibits in the gallery, as well as coming to some of our programs and classes and performances in the theaters.
Okay, all right. So Bob, the Carolina Theater, let's talk a little bit about the history of that. I know you're planning a big opening, and your historic wall is going to be a feature of that.
You know, we've talked for a long time about how to really tell the story of the theater. It's been in Durham since 1926. It's really been integral to the life of downtown. And so we've designed and begun to install a series of exhibits throughout the building. The first phase will open in November, and it's going to focus on just the history of the building, why it was built, you know, that it was originally built for civic functions and vaudeville, and that it later became a movie house, and that it's been a touring Broadway house, and the people like Katharine Hepburn performed there over the years. And tell the story of the artists that have been there, and really, you know, let people know why the Carolina Theater has existed all these years. The second phase, which will open next year, will focus on the volunteers in the 80s and 90s who helped to make sure that it wouldn't be torn down and really worked hard to save it. And then the final phase in 2 years, we'll touch on the civil rights history and the really important story that took place at the theater in the early 60s. And, you know, fortunately, we still have a number of those resources, the people who were protested and waited in line and at a segregated box office and wouldn't stand for it anymore. And so they're really important stories that need to be told. And so we're working on a series of permanent exhibits throughout the building that will really tell this well.
Sounds exciting.
It is.
Sounds so exciting. And Sherry, back to the Durham Arts Council. How are these renovations going to help you to provide even better programming?
Well, one of the things that we're very proud of is that the Durham Arts Council supports the arts community with this facility. So we provide space grants to many of our arts organizations in Durham so that they can have affordable rehearsal and programming and meeting space. The upgrades that have been done to the building are really going to help the arts groups have a better experience in the building, doing their rehearsals and their meetings and all of their programming functions. So we're proud that that will help the many arts organizations in Durham have a better experience and then be able to do a better job for the public.
Great. Bob, I have the same question for you. What about programming for the Carolina Theater?
Well, you know, anything that we can do to improve the quality of the things that we present is going to be a better experience for the audience. It's certainly something that we can use to promote when we're out trying to attract artists and make sure that we bring in the, you know, the finest presentations that we can. And I think in general, just having the people of Durham come into a building that feels new again, I think will just really enhance the experience and just help remind people how important we are.
Great, great. Now, Sherry, if people want more information about the Durham Arts Council, how do they get in touch with you?
They can go to our website at www.durhamarts.org or give us a call at 560-2787.
Okay. And Bob, same question.
Our website is carolinatheater.org. Our box office number is 560-3030, and we also have an iPhone app.
Okay. All right. Very cool. We're almost out of time, so I'll give both of you a chance to make any closing statements or any final thoughts in the political season there. So.
No, I mean, I think we really want people to understand that, that coming to the Carolina Theater is an all-new experience. That the level of quality that went into the restoration and the sound upgrades, and one of the things we hadn't mentioned yet is that we're working with the city to provide 3 new high-definition film projectors for our cinema program. So it's a new experience, and we want people to come back and experience it. If they've seen us before, they haven't seen us like this.
Come see us again, All right, and Sherry.
We're very grateful for the investment of the City of Durham and the citizens of Durham in upgrading all of these facilities. And one of the highlights of our renovation is our theater upstairs, the PSI Theater. And we really hope that the public will come out and enjoy that facility because it will be completely brand new with new seating and light and sound and presentation capabilities. So, and you can come to the Arts Council anytime. No charge, for free, and enjoy everything that's in the building, and we hope that the public will come out and take a visit and see what's happened in our buildings.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Very informative segment.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that does it for this edition of City Life. If you have a comment or a future show idea, email us at publicaffairs@durhamnc.gov or call us at 560-4123. And don't forget to like DTV8 on Facebook and follow DTV8 on Twitter to find out how to tune into this show, City Hall This Week, and all of the city's programming. You can also watch DTV8 on demand at durhamnc.gov/DTV8. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about City Life in Durham.